What we're here for and our shareholders are here for is not $2 million a year revenue. This is about taking a company and trying to emulate something similar to what SolGold has very successfully done. I think that any CEO that's not looking at all options to create the most value for the company is not doing their job.
You are selling hot chili, is that what you're telling me?
No.
So I want you to be clear. Be clear with me. Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. First of all, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, do give us a thumbs up. That helps us understand if this is the sort of company that you would like us to be interviewing for you. You can also leave your comments below. That helps us understand the sorts of questions you think we should be asking, how you think we did, and of course, what you thought of hot chili. You can catch this as a transcription article and a podcast on cruxinvestor.com. Plus, for Crux Investor Club members, you get to see this video early. And if you haven't already done so, please click the button in the corner of the screen to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, for more videos like this, click the notification bell. We speak today to Christian Easterday, who is the MD of ASX, copper gold explorer, developer and producer, Hot Chili. They have assets in Chile. We talked to them about their producing asset, why indeed focus on that, because it's relatively small. We come back to the main prize, which is their development assets, which they've put together over the past few years. It's been a long time in the making, a couple of false starts, but Christian feels that now is the point at which they've managed to put everything together in the right place to take advantage of the strong copper and gold price environment. We get into their business plan and how they hope to deliver it. We talk about the team's relevant experience and cover a lot of quite interesting topics about doing business in Chile. So take a look in the description below at some of those topics. Anything interests you in particular, you can click on the number beside that topic. It's called timestamp, and I'll jump you to that part of the video. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy what Christian has to say. Christian, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, very good to see you.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on the show. First time we've met, first time we've spoken. Looking forward to hearing about this story.
Look, I guess we're sort of in a really interesting position. So I thought it would be great to meet you and tell the hot chili story and get all the tough questions. But we're a copper gold developer on the ASX in the junior space. We listed the company some 10 years ago, going over to Chile to find and develop large copper gold projects. And I guess that was back in 2010. Had a very big early success with a project that's synonymous with our name, Productora, big discovery on the coast. And then, and really, I guess there's been a complete revitalization of the company in the last 18 months since we took on this world-class discovery, Cortadera, right next to Productora. So, we're a copper gold developer based out of Chile with our head office in Perth. And looking forward to chatting with you today.
Yeah, well, good. Well, thanks for that rundown. I was trying to understand a little bit about the management team's capabilities, their experience, their track record, and you kind of hit upon a few touch points there. So you've had a kind of previous success with Productora. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you did there and why you're calling it a success?
Sure. Well, I guess very, very tough when your business plan with your chairman, my founder Murray Black, and I went over to Chile with a bit of a vision to move into the large scale space. Myself and Murray have a lot of experience over here in the gold space in Western Australia. I'm a geologist of 23 years experience and a lot of expertise around us. So we went over there to break into a really tough environment in Chile with the no use it or lose it clause. Means most of the majors are there, and finding big opportunities was what drew us to Chile. Very stable jurisdiction, and I suppose we went over there privately and went through a very large consolidation phase, bringing together a number of opportunities with deals with the Chilean majors. That was 2.5 years of my time sitting over in Chile and just not leaving them alone as the world fell apart in the last GFC. We were very successful in that process, and we were one of the first companies in many, many years to do a deal with Codelco. We did a deal with one of the top three, CMP Cap, and that got us into consolidating the Productora project on the coastline, 600 kilometres north of Santiago. So look, that was a discovery that unveiled itself within 3 months of listing. The company shot from insignificance to a $250 million company quite rapidly. We deployed $100 million into that project, brought it into a pre-feasibility, defined 250 million tonnes of open pitable material on the coast. So it was a very exciting start to life for the company. And so deal making and consolidation is very much in our nature. We were supported for many, many years by some very large shareholders, some very notable people that you would well know the names of, the Rick Rules of the world with Sprott, and the Gordon Galts of the world with Taurus, and indeed our own chairman, Murray Black. So we were backed with a very big vision. Unfortunately, I'll put this story into context. Hot Chili then hit a brick wall like most of the market did. Copper price moved from $3.30 back down to $2 per pound. And really, over the last 5 or 6 years prior to the acquisition of Cortadera 18 months ago, Hot Chili was on life support. The ASX went from some 40 large copper developer peers to about 4 of us. So we were one of the survivors. We survived a nuclear holocaust, and we were able to do that by very prudently managing the company and keeping alive, being supported by those major shareholders. And they really gave us the opportunity to take this next step, finish the consolidation, take this Productora success, as I called it, that unfortunately, the tide went out, and you find out who's naked. We had our pants halfway down to our ankles. So we needed to build the remaining scale through the skill set that the management group had, which was pulling this area together. And of course, that culminated in us finding the Cortadera private discovery, and the rest has been history in the last 18 months since that happened.
Okay, so I just want to be clear. So it was a success in terms of your ability to aggregate and put together a package to create a story in Chile predicated on the copper price. Then copper price fell away, and you've, as you say, been, I think your phrase was life support for a while, supported by institutions. Okay, understood. So your experience is in South America. It is in Chile. It is with gold, copper, right? That's the track record.
That's right. We're a bit of a flag bearer for the Australian market. We're one of the few juniors that went over to Chile from Australia and were able to succeed. So we have a very big footprint there, a very, very well established player in the coastline of Chile, and in the large copper gold space. Okay,
and tell me what 23 years at it, what else have you been involved with?
Look, the start of my career actually was over here in Western Australia, where I live with my family, and I'm a gold geologist by background. So I was an explorationist. Had a very, very lucky start to my career working with one of the stalwarts of the industry over here, Peter Cook. So I joined Peter and Hill 50 Gold back when I started. Most people know that story, and we had a great success there, turning around a WMC operation, and then eventually being taken over 4 years later by Harmony Gold for $250 million. So that's where I started my career. I was very lucky getting a lot of discoveries. Got the gold bug and the discovery bug. Went on and worked with Placidome in their exploration group over here in Western Australia. Had a lot of experience with the Global Generative Group, and going over and starting to spread my wings as, at the same time as a young geologist, I was dreaming of bigger things, and completing my Masters in Mineral Economics while I was working, and then completing my MBA, and then ultimately getting a phone call one day from a gentleman I knew that I used to use all of his drill rigs at Hill 50 at that gold project when I was at Placer, and that was Murray Black. He's a very well-established guy, and over here owns large drilling businesses, and one of the Kalgoorlie guys. And he asked me to come and work for him when I was a very young guy. So I got a lot of luck, and got very enthusiastic about the industry, and dreamed of eventually having one of my own companies to go and succeed at finding something big and developing it, and building a company.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because you at the beginning of Hot Chili, it started well. it's fallen away. You're telling me 18 months ago was a kind of catalyst moment and things have changed since then. So I'm looking at the share price from 2017 till now, fairly flat, not much is happening. The market's not reacting to what you're doing. So again, define for me what you mean 18 months ago things started to take off. What do you mean by that?
Sure. Look, if we sort of if you look at the hot chili price, it's really a bit of a hill and then a come down quite significantly after that initial star of the market back in 2012, 13, etc., winning Diggers and Dealers awards and building $250 million market cap quickly. So through that very big trough, we were leveled to 1 cent a share from 80 cents. So, a lot of CEOs would be horrified to want to rerun that record. Look, I think that the measure of success with any company is about your endurance and never giving up on the vision that you have. So, when we come down to the beginning of 2019 at 1 cent, being supported by our major shareholders, it's because 2 years before that we were told that there was a discovery that was made on the other side of the Pan American Highway to Productora. And we were very fortunate to be able to get our hands on that information, look at that, start looking at scenarios as to what that would mean for our project, which was sitting there, unfortunately snookered. We had a copper price that would not support it being built at the scale it was, or alternatively, we had half the mine life we needed to bring that development through. So, it was one of those, and I've said this before, it was a rabbit out of the hat moment, but it was about pulling the rabbit out of the hat. This was a Chilean family, very, very wealthy, one of the big families of Chile. They controlled it. They'd been handed it back by a Chilean billionaire that discovered this thing. And for all intensive purposes, they were not selling this asset. We went to them. We spent 2 years building that relationship, looking at every way we could to get them into a conversation to say, let's put this together with Productora. And we finally succeeded. So it was 2 years of watching our share price get decimated with a master plan and really not blinking. And we were able to pull that off at a very low point in the market capitalization. And that took real grit. And to be able to do that, announce this private discovery that had not been closed off, it had been walked away from, with 800-metre intercepts from surface, no closeout drilling, and the suggestion that the grade was getting better at depth, that took a lot of convincing for a lot of people that were financing me to survive to see if we could even pull something like that off. And given our pedigree in deal making, I think that most people know that born in the DNA of what we do at Hot Chili very well is the relationship and the deals that we are able to pull off. So we did that in 2019, and we saw Hot Chili last year achieve, so to come back to your question, it looks pretty flat. If we look in from the beginning of 2019, you see about a 413% increase in the share price as we started to unveil, I guess, some of the top copper gold intercepts being rolled out globally for the last 2 years. We've achieved 6 of the top 25 now. And so we actually, I think, finished as the third best performing share price on the market. And really, share price is what this game's all about for investors. So last year was a very big return for our shareholders on that turnaround strategy and the announcement of that deal, and obviously the success that's unfolded since. But then we follow back to this year, Matthew, and I'm going over to PDAC, and the price is very good. And as I arrive, we're sort of watching this virus in China, and wouldn't you know, in this business, you hit another moment in the market. So that pretty much leveled most of the ASX junior space, pulled back nearly all of our gains from last year in finding a potential world-class deposit right next to our existing development. So since then, we've been able to secure a number of things that would have very much worried the market and exacerbated that evaporation of gain. And we got back from PDAC straight into Chile, with the virus following us. And while I was there for 10 days, we nailed a few very, very important deals, which have now hit the market, restored the confidence that this discovery is going to see a lot of life come out of it. And what that has meant that, in the past 3 weeks alone, I think we've probably more than doubled the share price off the back of what is about to happen. So I guess, there's an exercise of looking carefully at what we've done in the last 18 months as to what's going on with the market cap and share price of the company.
Yeah, okay. I get some of the volatility there, and statistics are a wonderful thing. If you measure it from a low enough point to the high enough point, there's some great numbers there, right? So so congratulations.
Matthew, I'm very happy you say that, because when you look at the entirety of time, for CEOs to not talk about the bad times and not explain them away, let's not cherry pick too much
exactly.
of all of our victories on the battlefield.
Exactly, right. So look, you talk about endurance there. For you've got to be enduring, and I think that's right. It's not necessarily what shareholders want, because they're looking for returns and they're looking for growth constant. Yours has been a bit of a battle, and I bet you.
That's right, Matthew. You've got to keep yourself in the fight.
Right, and I bet you'd swap a few of those awards for a bit more consistency in the market, right?
That would be nice.
Yeah, it would. So let's talk about what you're trying to construct here. Okay, so I get the backstory, and obviously with Murray Black's involvement, he's well known in Australia, and but there's a much bigger audience you're talking to here. The team, the projects you put together, I think obviously they take a while in South America, in Africa, places like to gain the trust of people to put those deals together. So that's not necessarily something shareholders understand, or prospective shareholders would understand the need for. So you put together some assets. There's been some kind of consolidation around naming protocol, I think, recently. You've done about Costa Fuego. But I want to actually understand what it actually means, because you talk about yourself as a producer, a developer, and an explorer. Okay, right.
Sure.
So can we go in and break that down? So let's talk about the production component, because that should be a big re-rate moment, right? That should be, people say, oh, they're a gold producer. In this gold environment, you should be taking advantage of that. But I'm not sure that's happening. So tell me what it is that you've got and what people don't understand.
Sure. Yeah, I think you've got to put everything into context and a few moving parts there. So let's tackle the production one first. You look at a company like us. We put $100 million into Productora. Again, most CEOs would be embarrassed to sort of point out how much has been invested. I look at that as a huge opportunity, and always have. If we could unlock that investment through what we've done with consolidation, there's your first value block right there. Because that's a 10-year open pit project that really was all about just where was the other 10 years of production, and then you're dealing with a very, very sexy project. So with our investment in Productora, when I was over in Chile after PDAC, I talked about a few things that we did. The first was to talk to the Corolla family that own Cortadera and say, look, these next milestone payments that the company owes to buy this 100%, let's push that out a year. This environment is not going to be conducive for Hot Chili to going out and start putting down these big payments and funding that out of the market. We need time to put the meat on the bone, to re-rate this stock and continue to do that. So that was all about dilution management and about taking this forward sensibly. And the relationships that you talk about, the shareholders, that they don't really see it, that's when they do see it, that we can walk up to a family like that and be able to negotiate that just like that. So there's a lot of goodwill that's been built with our relationship there. But what we also did, in sitting there at a discussion with a very close partner of ours, and he was sent to dinner to pass me a message from some of the highest circles in the Chilean government, that our assistance with the local community and the employment in the township in which we operate, 15 kilometres away, the government-run agency, Inami, operates a processing facility there. some 400 people that are employed in that processing facility, and really they were out of ore sources in the area. That mill was running at less than half full capacity, and so they wanted the opportunity to be able to mine that ore source sitting next to their processing facility. I looked at that really as something of a distraction until that point where it was brought upon me the importance of what that was securing for jobs, our goodwill towards the community, towards the government, and that was really important to me. Firstly, what that also allowed me was an opportunity to say, well, you know, it's never been the game in town for Hot Chili to sit there and see small production out of its assets. We're aiming for something very, very big here. We always have, but in the meantime, that also helps with the funding. What junior sits there in this market and says, I will turn on cash flow, $1.4 to $2 million a year, not put up any capital or operating costs, and take a check? So we were able to sign that deal up. We were able to execute it and put it in place effectively. But it was the bigger meaning for what that also meant for me. This was about a mining license being granted over our key asset and put in place now. This suddenly brought Hot Chili from a visionary big developer in 4 or 5 years, when Christian can put all these moving parts together, to actually saying, no, we've got production now. We can see what that ore body is going to process like. That's going to assist with how Productora's feasibility moves forward. We're going to assist the local community with jobs, and we're going to have a lot more involvement with the government agencies in relation to how all of this is going to be put together for a lot more jobs. So that was the first thing on the production basis. And I guess one of the other things, Matthew, that I'll point out is perhaps the market isn't seeing what we're about to do next with that production. I foreshadowed it and said we're in discussions to lift that up, but wouldn't it be fantastic to see Hot Chili earning a hell of a lot more than that annually, while still actually showing no real material impact to a 167 million tonne reserve? This is production at 120,000 tonnes per annum. Maybe that might be higher soon if discussions go well, but I'm sure that everyone can do the maths. And
okay, we'll do the maths for them. Go on.
Well, you know, if you're in a fantastic place and you talked about even doubling that, $4 million a year, you know, and what PE ratio do you want to choose? Do you want to choose 10 or 20 or somewhere between? And then multiply that against our market cap. That puts most of our market cap to bed straight away. So I think from that perspective, we have a funding strength that's been developed out of that. And my recent presentation, may be a bit cheeky to say producer, developer, explorer, more than taking a check.
Well, that's where I was coming at it from, and I'm glad you've explained it like that, because it's not the money. I did view it as a distraction before this conversation. It's almost meaningless, and you should be focusing on the big prize. But the way you've described it in terms of the doors that it's opened for you, and I guess you're right, you know, having a little bit of income is no bad thing. But the market wants to see you focus on the main prize, which is the development component. You have spent $100 million on Productora, right? That's a lot of big chunk of change. What I'm not seeing is, so if you don't mind, let's park the production bit. We understand why you've done it. You did recognize it as a distraction, but it has some upside to it. But I'm going to park that because you're not really a producer. The big prize is
we
development.
Don't go after it. It's exactly what you said, and why before that meeting and before it was put to me in the way it was put to me by the government and through the intermediary, you know, that is the key motivator for us. You know, I viewed it as a distraction because exactly as you said, Matthew, look, $1.4-2 million a year, that's great. It's very helpful. We're trying to put together a 1 billion tonne play here on the coastline of Chile.
Right. So
that's where the prize is. And that's the prize for all shareholders.
Great. So let's come back to that, because that's the only way this company is going to significantly change its market cap.
Exactly.
And so you need to help me with understanding how you're going to do that. You've spent $100 million. You said you could unlock the potential of that. What does that actually mean? How do you recoup that 100 million and beyond?
Yeah, and let's do exactly what you're saying. Let's step up from the little step. Now let's go to the next what I would classify as a moderate step, restoring $100 million of value. So what was wrong with Productora? Either the grade needed to be 50% up, or the size of it needed to be twice. So when you pull off a deal that within the first 5,000 meters of drilling, you've just confirmed what you spent 2 years running scenarios on, putting it through your financial modeling and convincing some of the largest investors in the world, such as the Sprott Group, that if you can get this thing, you've just solved your problem. That's about restoring the $100 million. But what we're here for, and our shareholders are here for, is not $2 million a year revenue, restore $100 million so we get back to even. This is about taking company and trying to emulate something similar to what SolGold has very successfully done over in Ecuador. That is the bigger prize. And to do that, you need to, have a lot of luck. Let's not forget that in all of this. But and we had a lot of luck. We chose the right asset. We fought hard to get it. We knew that it would solve those initial 2 value steps. And now it's about where those world-class drilling intercepts are taking us. So the next steps, which we're very much focusing on, and really it's all hands on board at the moment. We were very lucky to appoint, and you talk about who are the people behind Hot Chili, what's the capability there. We're talking a very big game in terms of, tier 1 assets to put together to unlock the ultimate value here in a market where tier 1 assets are very, very hard to find globally. You look at the top 50 undeveloped copper projects in the world, what have we got? 4 of them that are not controlled by majors. We step down to the next 20 and we say on the ASX, how many ASX players are holding tier 1, even close to a tier 1 asset in copper gold? When we say tier 1, we're talking 5 million tons of copper metal, often 5 to 10 million ounces of gold on average. And we're talking about the $40 billion US in-ground value. So that's what our shareholders want us to be focused on. And that's very much what we're on the cusp of delivering our first step, our first chunk of meat on that bone.
How?
And that's
Cortadera's
first resource.
Right. Okay. What's the timing on that?
Look, it's something that most people are really, really anxious about. So as you said, Matthew, I think some of your respondents are on a website called Hot Copper over here, and get emailed these things quite often from that forum. And I know that the entire retail market of Australia is sort of holding their breath. The price is lifting. We've been putting out some fantastic announcements in the lead up to this resource, which means a lot of work and thought is going into what we're about to do here. Because when we put this resource out, clearly we wanted to keep drilling. COVID changed that. We pivoted all of our team towards putting a first estimate and almost a marker in the sand as to really Hot Chili's come in here and drilled 20,000 meters. How big can this thing be? You add that to 23,000 meters of drill previously, and we look and we say, well, gee, you've had Rio Tinto exploration up in the Patterson, drilling the fantastic Winu discovery, and they just very helpfully for Hot Chili put 500 million tons into the market at 0.4 or 0.35 copper and 0.25 gold, and they put a half a tier 1 asset as a first step for them. So it's very, very helpful for Hot Chili.
What's the answer, Christian? What's the answer
already at Productora? So,
but what's the answer
in the coming couple of weeks, Matthew? Is what I'm hoping my answer is to a very long-winded answer.
Right, we got there. Good. Okay, so you're gonna bring out a resource. You've raised a little bit of money recently, back in May, and in June. What are you doing with it?
Sure. Pretty simple. It was going towards drilling. It was going towards the extension of our purchase agreement on this to push that out a year in advance. And most importantly, that was going towards the put together of this first resource on Cortadera, Asset 1 addition to Productora. Mm-hmm. And it was about then bringing in the first of our high-grade satellites with the resource on that San Antonio, and really amalgamating this into one big combined development. So we also have work going on a scoping study to put all of this together. And just the other day, we announced our first metallurgical results, which was really the glue that proves that all of these ore sources within 15 kilometres out of each other and can actually be processed in the same processing facility using salt water, which is very important in Chile for a big development. And more importantly, that these things are all enjoying very, very strong recoveries. So now we can look at it as one combined development. And as you sort of started, Costa Fuego, Christian's rolled out a new name. Look, that's because all of these ore sources are going to go through one plant now.
Okay. You don't have many shares yourself. Is Murray making all the money here?
No, well, I don't have the financial resources of a Murray Black, clearly, but no. Look, I used to have a larger shareholder. It's been shareholding. It's been whittled down over the years. I've put quite a lot of money personally into hot chili in the market when I can, keeping up with placements while I can. So certainly, I'm certainly well within the top 20 and hopefully not far off the top 10. But no, I don't have as many shares as Murray Black. But I guess everyone knows that Murray and I started this company. We're part of the Kalgoorlie group, and our group is still the largest shareholders that control hot chili.
Okay, this year, I know you've kind of got you're a bit coy on the timing for the resource, but does that informing us that it's tough to actually get anything done in Chile at the moment? Is that the problem? Is it COVID related, or is there more to it?
Yeah, no. Look, all of the resource work is going on mainly over here in Australia. I started to talk about and then forgot to finish, Matthew, about the people behind us. Back when we made the discovery hole of the high-grade core at Cortadera, which really changed everything for what our view and the market's view of what Cortadera could become. We appointed Steve Garwin, obviously one of the most preeminent porphyry geologists in the world. He's leading the team for the Sol Gold discovery and drill out, and they've done a fantastic job there. And we really adopted with Steve a brand new team that was very specialised in putting together porphyries, working on Cascabel amongst others. And so most of that work's going over here in Australia with Mining Plus as our independent resource guys. Steve Garwin and a big team leading the modelling behind that to provide very accurate understanding as to where this resource is and how to target it. So in Chile on the ground, we're drilling, and certainly we're impacted there. Chile has not been immune to coronavirus. We're having to operate very differently. We're not drilling as fast as we used to because, we've got single shift drilling, 2-week, red team and blue team, and we have a lot of procedures to make sure we can keep operating. But the resources aren't being held up at all by operations in Chile. But the one thing that is holding things up, Matthew, and I would have hoped to have had the resource out already, maybe even last week. But, we have a lot of groups that are involved in data room with the company and that there are a lot of eyes on this. So we're doing it to an extremely high standard. We know that this is the first watermark and we want to get it right. So when we've got it right, we'll be putting it out.
What do you mean people are in your data room? What are they doing? Who are they?
Look, you pull off an acquisition like Cortadera. I think most people knew what the strategy was. 1 + 1 = 3. One of the oldest strategies in the book in the mining sector for pulling off what we were trying to do. So I think most people recognised where this was going very early, and we received a lot of inbound interest from them. Some of the largest mining companies in the world, and their teams. A lot of them have been over to the project, and a lot of them keep up good dialogue with Hot Chili as we've been growing this thing, de-risking it, answering things like, can it come out? Is it going to get bigger? Where's the grade? What's the next step? So, this next step with the resource is a very big part of our next step.
So let me be clear.
In that process.
You are selling hot chili. Is that what you're telling me?
No. No.
So I want you to be
We
clear.
certainly,
Be clear with me.
We certainly are very interested in speaking with much larger, more capable groups for these type of assets that may assist us in being able to bring the most value to the floor with Hot Chili shareholders. And that might be through contemplating funding arrangements such as joint ventures and perhaps even cornerstone stakes in the company.
Right. And JVs, are you looking for an operator for you? I mean, what are you trying to get out of these conversations?
Yeah, I think you look forward as to where does this all go, and what's the best journey for the shareholder? Is it and I'll speak frankly now, like, these guys here to build this up, put some wrapping paper and bow on it and sell it. I think that any CEO that's not looking at all options to create the most value for the company is not doing their job. So, we don't have any preconceptions about that.
Are you tired of it? I mean, you've been at this a long time. Do you want someone to come in here and just take it over? Is that the best thing for you, the board and the shareholders?
I think that fatigue builds into all of these things, but I think discovery is in my blood. And when you find something like Cortadera, you've also got to step back and say, how many geologists or CEOs are going to even be able to walk around the market and say, we have the chance to potentially define a tier 1 discovery. That's what gets me out of bed and gets most of our board and management team out of bed every day. We're very, very much motivated by what can unfold here, and certainly no fatigue to be running to sell it quickly. No,
Okay.
The market cap of Hot Chili is here. We've got a vision for where this can take us. So until we get there, I don't think we're really wanting to do anything, in a rushed manner.
Okay. So you're just coming back to share registry. So you've name dropped a few big names in there who I presume are still here today, because there's a sort of massive overhang for them, given the successes of the past and where the price is today. Are you concerned as part of your growth story that you're telling that you're going to be held back by people dumping as soon as the price hits something comparable to what they paid? Yeah,
let's be very frank here. Matthew, I started with, most people that know me in Perth and have been into my office turn around behind my desk and say, what does the number 500 mean? It's something my wife put on the wall in red, very big numbers. And a lot of people ask me at the beginning of the company, what does 500 mean, Christian? Back then I used to say, this is either a minimum $500 million company we're building. This is a minimum of 500 million tons that we want to build, or this is a maximum of 500 million shares that I want on issue by the time we're able to reach full value for our shareholders. So look, two of those three things are still alive, Matthew.
Tell me about the share count.
Unfortunately, one of them not the amount of shares that I've got on issue. So when you talk about overhang and volume, yeah, we have a lot of volume. We have a register that I spent years ensuring we had a consolidated heavyweight register, and it was one of our strengths for many, many years. And to be able to pull off Cortadera, unfortunately, we had to loosen up that register, and with that, yes, you see a lot of volume come into a stock that has 2 billion shares or so now. Not dissimilar to where SolGold is, but you sit there and look at the SolGold story, and Nick, very similar situation, 30 million market cap, 3P, delivered 6-7 world-class intercepts, very similar to where we are. Must have been looking at everyone thinking, what do I have to do? And just like that, you see a move by Newcrest, BHP, a capital raising, and within 7 months, $30 million company that's $1 billion. So can we do it? I think that there's precedent. given our register.
Well, there's
and all of the impediments that you would think would be in front of us.
If you compare yourself to the right company, there's always precedent. So I'm more concerned about you. I want to understand how you're going to get there. Okay, so you're sitting at whatever it is, sort of 70 million Aussie-ish today.
Yep.
How much cash have you got in the bank?
We just completed about 7 weeks ago, an $8.9 million placement and entitlements issue to our shareholders. So we're pretty good with treasury at the moment. And one of the benefits, if there is a silver lining to the cloud of drilling at half the speed I used to, is that I'm not burning money very quickly. And in addition, we're about to see our first check from production on a monthly basis. So we're okay right now.
Till when?
Till when? I think that most people could do a timeline and say, within the first quarter of next year, Christian's probably looking for money. Between now and then, I think a few other things are playing out in the background that may well mean that, I think that I've got a track record of always being able to fund this company effectively. So I don't think that I see anything changing there, but we're not contemplating raising capital anytime soon. Certainly we'd be looking at next year at this stage.
What's your take on the gold market at the moment? Do you think it's going to sustain?
Wow, I think that's my word for the day with gold. 2050, I think it's pulled back a little today. I remember 97. I was a young geologist on a drill rig, and the next year it hit 265 an ounce, Matthew. So I've been around a little.
But that's my point.
It's pretty stunning at the moment.
But that's my point. It's stunning at the moment. You've got to, as an MD, you've got to have a view of where this thing's going, because you've got to pick the right time to raise cash, because either it's going to be cheap or it's going to be expensive. So what's your take on it, and when will you leave those conversations to? Yeah, look,
again, we were talking about earlier, what can you control, what can't you control? I can't control the commodity prices. We seem to be coming into a real purple patch where those very few instances in my career where stars have aligned. And I don't want to jinx anything at the moment, Matthew, because the stars have aligned with the copper price and with the gold price. At the very moment, Hot Chile is about to take this massive leap forward in terms of how much metal we have in those two key commodities. And one of the things in the Hot Chile story that I also think the market is very much missing, when you do these numbers and you say you've got $250 million at Productora, and could Cortaderas first resource be anything like Winu? You can do the maths pretty quickly as to where we start, then apply a gold credit. When you've done those maths, work out that Hot Chile is about to hold one of the biggest gold resources on the ASX outside of a major, then multiply it by 2,000. So I think it's one of the most exciting aspects of the story unfolding here that I'm sure that we'll be able to put onto a bubble graph to adequately represent that.
Okay. Well, let's see how that goes, because I think people are trying to understand the scale of this. I know you throwing some numbers out there, but they need you to put this resource out to get a sense of that, so they can actually work out what the numbers are, because it's been a quiet 3 years. Not much has happened for you guys. The stars are aligning in terms of copper price coming back up, gold's obviously doing its thing. So right now it's great, but are you going to be able to take advantage of it is, I suspect, the big question out there.
That's right. So when you have those stars align, my experience is that you've got to move quickly. We were very lucky that we've been able to move very quickly, and so to be delivering what we're talking about delivering very shortly in the coming weeks, I couldn't be happier with how that's worked out. But also, like I said, Matthew, 2 weeks is a long time in the market, so I don't want to say anything too soon and jinx what's going on here. But I'm sort of like the cat that sort of got the cream at the moment. I know where this is heading, and so I smile a lot in these interviews. But exactly as you said, proof will be in the pudding. Let's get the number out. That'll be the starting point. Let your drill rigs keep turning. Let's see where this goes.
Christian, thank you very much for today. Brilliant first introduction to your company. Appreciate you being frank. We'd like that. Pick up the phone, let us know when there's something to say.
Excellent. All right. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Matthew.